What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video, and this one is going to be about the Steam Deck and kind of the paranoia I feel like that's surrounding it from Nintendo fans, specifically Nintendo Switch fans, and I don't really understand. I don't really understand it. So I'm excited for the Steam Deck. I wasn't initially. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that looks big and bulky." I'm not sure about the button layout, but the more people started talking about it, I was like, "Yeah, that might be something I can rock with." And it was just seemed to be more positive stuff about how it felt, and I like the idea of being able to take my Steam library on the go. The convenience of that. Obviously, you can do a lot more outside of that if you have, the acumen for PC building and just messing with PCs and tweaking them and doing all that. You can do that, or you can just use it as basically a gaming console that plays your Steam games. So that's cool. But because of the form factor, a lot of people and right away were talking about the Switch because it is a handheld basically. Obviously a little bigger than the Switch, a little bulkier, not as portable, but it's going to be operating kind of in that space to some degree. And so a lot of Nintendo fans, I don't know if they got nervous or it's like Nintendo's finally starting to win, and here comes this guy, this Gabe Newell, his dreams, of having a home console platform or a on-the-go gaming platform. And I think a lot of Nintendo fans got a little worried. It's like, oh, we finally winning, and now here comes this. But then there's also people making the comparisons of Nintendo Switch handhelds of the past and how they beat back the competition. Famously, you had Wonder Swans and all kinds of other things out there. You had the Atari Lynx and the Game Gear, all the stuff trying to compete with the Game Boy. And Nintendo was triumphant every time. The PSP got really close, but even the DS still destroyed that. Vita, yeah, no. And so there's a lot of kind of defensiveness with that aspect of it. And I'm like, well, first of all, the Valve Steam Deck isn't really competing with the Switch. It's competing form factor. It's competing with on-the-go gaming, I guess, but this is not that situation. This is not a situation where, it's very different. It's not like a situation because Valve doesn't make games. They just distribute games. They're a distributor, and they make it more convenient for you to have that library that you can go to and have it all in one place. And now they're just kind of funneling you towards a gaming console, a device that lets you play those games more conveniently if you're not into PC gaming and stuff. So it's not the same kind of situation where it's a PSP versus a DS. So I don't know why that's a defensive argument again. And a lot of people who are talking about these things don't really know a whole lot about Steam Deck, and it's very obvious. I am doing a lot of viewing and reading and whatnot when it comes to Steam Deck because I have mine pre-ordered. So I'm really interested in what the scene's going to be about, and I'll probably get into more stuff that I wasn't expecting to because of it. As far as modding and all that kind of stuff and emulation, all that stuff. But the cool thing about the deck is that it is it's a PC. It's a portable gaming PC, and with that comes obviously pains, because you're dealing with drivers and all that stuff. But things are constantly being updated. Things are constantly being fixed and modified. So to think that, if this thing is running like this right now, is always going to do that, that's not the case. Whereas the Switch is a closed platform, it's not going to be a situation where stuff's going to be fixed to where it's running better or looking better. because it is a closed platform. Now, sometimes developers will, we can, they found something that they could tweak, and they'll patch something later on. But as far as like, drastic differences, you're not going to get that. But you can and will get that with the Steam Deck, because even though stuff's not optimized for it, doesn't mean that it works poorly or it runs poorly. It's just a software optimization issue. The hardware is solid. It's basically a PS4 Pro in your hands. So the power is there. So to think that, it's not going to be able to do this, it's not going to be able to do that, because this certain game that wasn't optimized is not letting it do it. It's kind of silly. It's disingenuous to point at that one thing and say, "Oh, this is what the Steam Deck is." No, because I've seen countless videos where they show the little performance layer on screen. You can see what the frame rate is. You can see resolution and all that. You can also tweak the settings, right? You can also tweak how much GPU and CPU intense your games are based on what graphical settings you have. If you're on ultra to high, or if you're on the mid to low, your system is going to perform differently. And so you can easily get games to run at 60 frames, but there's caveats to that, like your battery life. So the Steam Deck can run games, current gen games, at 60 frames. It's just that you're going to be taking a hit with your battery life. So to think that it can only do 30 frames per second or whatever it's silly. And for somebody who call themselves into tech, not or acting like they don't know that, is kind of a weird thing to me, because this is how computers work, and the Steam Deck is basically a computer with a monitor on it with no keyboard, and for what you're getting, because the Steam Deck performs better than other systems that it is actually competing with, like the Aya Neo, which is twice as expensive. So the Steam Deck runs better than those, and it's twice as cheap as those. That is where the excitement comes in. That's where the cool factor comes in. Valve, Gabe Newell specifically said himself that it was painful to get the Steam Deck at that price, but they did it. It is starting at $400, which is $50 more than the Switch OLED. Now, obviously, there's still other caveats with that. If you get the $400 one, you're only getting 64 gigs of onboard storage. And that's different to a Switch, because Switch, a lot of stuff you can run off cartridge. So you can run it off the actual cart, and you're not taking up your memory. But most people who've had a Switch for a few years definitely have upgraded their storage space, because you're dealing with some games that are partial downloads, or you're just dealing with updates, or you're buying digital games. So you have to get more storage. So the storage thing is kind of a wash, but there is obviously some point to be had there, because Steam Deck games are all digital. There's no other way to get around that. So one game, 64 gigs, you might get one, maybe two games out of that, and it's done. So you're definitely going to have either the higher end model, which gives you more storage, and that obviously increases the price, or you're going to have to buy memory cards, which aren't that expensive actually. And how long did I have my Switch before I bought memory for it? Maybe a few months. But it's because I wanted to buy some digital stuff, and I know that, I don't even know if it's a few months. It's probably been in a few weeks, and I know that it was going to take up that space. So I believe the Switch is 32 gigs when it came out. I think the OLED might be 64, but there's nothing to worry about here. I actually said before that the Steam Deck is not competition with the Switch. The Switch is already at over 100 million units. There's no catching that thing at this point. Steam Deck is, to me, alluding to Switch 2 and what it's going to be capable of. Because if you're complaining about these things, or you're saying, as a Switch fan, you're talking about, oh, the battery life this, or the resolution that, even though the Switch is a little bit lesser resolution, 800p versus 720p, that's negligible. But battery life and all that kind of stuff, the Switch's battery life is better, but it doesn't run as graphically intense games as the Steam Deck. I have Witcher 3 on PC, I have it on Xbox One, and I have it on the Switch. And there are super giant clear differences between the console / PC version compared to the Switch version. Switch version is very downgraded, which is fine. I bought it because, one, it was all on one cart, and two, I could take my saves and transfer them to the PC version that I have. So that was cool, and be able to play it on the go. But now that I'm getting a Steam Deck, I'm not going to have to have the same type of, I won't have to take the same type of caveat. There won't be the same, what's the word I'm looking for? I won't be losing as much compared to playing it on the Steam Deck on the go as I'm losing when I'm playing on the Switch on the go. And it runs well on the Switch again, but it's it's blurry. It's really anti. You see a lot of AA edges and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen the Steam Deck running at high settings, at about 45 to 50 frames a second. So obviously, if you go lower, you can get 60. So that's the thing. The flexibility of the Steam Deck is really cool, and it may over time take away more of my portable Switch gaming, at least outside of the house. I think I'll still play my Switch on the TV, docked, and just around the house. And I actually think I'll be playing Steam Deck a lot around the house, probably a lot more around the house than I would like outside of the house. But I have a battery extender. I have a portable battery that, if it's plugged into the Steam Deck, will probably give me an extra 3 to 4 hours. So that's great. And I actually have one for my Switch as well. I wish I would have put it on here, but I think it's a gully kit, and there's a little clip that goes to the top here and the bottom, and then the battery slides onto it, and it's nice and sturdy. As you can see here, I have my custom Binbach Joy-Cons, which I love playing handheld mode now, because I didn't like it before playing with those little Joy-Cons. I got bigger hands, and to be able to comfortably play for long periods of time, these Binbach, or I think you can see them behind me, the Split Pad Pro, that's the only way I'll play portable. I never like playing portable using the Joy-Cons. They're just too small, and this just gives me a lot more space. It's like splitting a we call it a Pro controller in half and sliding it on each side of the Switch. So, yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it. I don't understand. I do feel like Nintendo fans are worried about the Steam Deck. I don't think should be. But just dismissing it, I've seen a lot of dismissing it out of fear. I think it's out of fear. And, they think it's just going to be a niche thing. I don't think so. Valve, it's again, I'm following them more. I'm watching the videos and reading the articles more than the people who are kind of dismissing it are. So I see a vision from Valve where they really want this. They're really going to push for this thing to be successful. I think in some ways it already is, because it's, a lot of people have gotten their hands on it. People who've purchased it or pre-ordered it are getting their hands on it as we speak. So it's going to be a successful device. You're not going to just be able to. Again, it's not really competition for the Switch though. The Switch has its games. The Steam Deck has games the Switch will never be able to play. But on the other hand, the Steam Deck can play pretty much everything the Switch plays through emulation, and that's an option again if you want to do that. At this point, I don't see that happening. I like just playing on my Switch as is on the go, but who knows in the future? Because with Nintendo being the way they are with their stores and whatnot, a lot of people are definitely going to look at this as an option to make the Steam Deck a legacy Switch in some ways. They'll have whatever they want to do on it, but then they'll also have the emulators to let them play other systems as well. I mean, people are playing PS3 on it right now, original Xbox. I mean, up until the Switch, it can emulate and emulate well, and in some cases run better. 60 frames on some of these Switch games. So, and that's only going to get better too. But yeah, I mean, that's it for this video. I mean, I really don't understand. There's been talk. You guys have probably seen it. Shadow Fox made a video about it and a tweet about it of this narrative that the Switch was, not given a pass, and people were, making all these different articles about it not, it's not going to do well, and that really wasn't the case. The Switch, pretty much from the beginning, of it actually being out and in people's hands, people always like the Switch. Yeah, there's going to be one or two guys here or there that quote unquote hated on it, and obviously coming off the Wii U, there was a lot of Wii U haters that expected the Switch to also fail, just because it's Nintendo and Nintendo just failed with the Wii U. So, but that's not the gaming media. That's not gaming press. Most of the gaming press was on board with the Switch. So I just don't understand this narrative that the Switch was under all this immense scrutiny, because it wasn't. A lot of times the Switch got a pass for a lot of things that surprised even me. A lot of times, especially when it comes to its graphical capabilities and stuff like that. A lot of people are like, yeah, it can't do this, but for what it is, it's great. And, I've seen there, back in 2017, there were reviews of the Switch, and most of them were positive. IGN gave it an 8.3 or something like that. And the little caption is great. They pointed out things that it needed. Obviously, it needed more games. It was lacking in the launch window specifically, but it came around. Obviously, 2017 was a great year, and most people loved the Switch. And when the OLED came out, it also got a 8 something as a score for great. And so I just don't understand this narrative, or this created narrative that the Switch was under so much scrutiny that Steam Deck isn't. And, again, I can show you videos where, people are pretty fair and on giving Steam Deck all it can handle. Because in many ways, it's not ready. It's not there yet. But in many ways, neither was the Switch. And we still, gave it a pass for certain things, and we all still liked it. So I don't buy it. I don't get it. This is the wrong tree to be barking up as far as trying to compare some kind of conspiratorial thing and attach it to the Switch where it wasn't there for, or it wasn't there for the Switch, but is, the scrutiny is not there for the Steam Deck that the Switch got. I don't see it. I never saw it. Again, I was surprised because I was expecting it to be that way, but it really wasn't. I was surprised by how many people got on board the Switch early on, uh, especially like gaming outlets, magazines, websites, and stuff. So it is what it is. That's my video. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Steam Deck is gonna come out and crush the Switch, and that's why people are worried, or do you think they're really not tackling the same market? I think they're not. 'Cause again, one's a portable PC that you need a Steam library for. You don't need it, but that's the point of it. And one is a dedicated Nintendo console. So anyway, that's my video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and now see you fools next time. Peace out.